And so the amount that they were looking at was $1 million, essentially. And the mother didn't have this kind of money. She went about looking for it. They'll tell us the details as to where it came from for the allowance then for him to then be released. The process took some time, but Stephen arrived back in the country a couple of days ago. And that sentence is essentially off of his head. He joins us in a bit, just making his way here. And we're just going to listen to some of the things that he said when he came back to Kenya in terms of what all of this entails. Listen in as we come back.
My maternal granny promised me that she will dance with me when she came with her third leg. So her third leg is here with me today. And sure, she had really danced with it. My presence here today is nothing short of a miracle. And I want to begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the gift of life. I want also to thank everyone who prayed for me, encouraged me, and contributed towards my freedom and return home.
So that's the voice that we hear of Stephen when he's come home and he's talking about, what had transpired when he was away. And then also it was believed that, his grandmother had hoped that she would see him again, and that the time would come before her death where he would be home. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But he sees a situation where he can still celebrate her in that moment. And that's what we hear from him. Again, he joins us in a short while then to be able to hear. But let's just give you a little bit in terms of details of this story and exactly then what happened with him. So he makes his way back into the country. He says, I was just a mistake is one of the things that he said. He recalls the fights that led to death row in Saudi Arabia, that he was working with someone. And as time, of course, is going, he talks about the disagreement that led to a fight that led him being on death row in Saudi Arabia. He had spent over a decade in jail in Saudi Arabia, revealed that a salary dispute is what led to him being put on death row in one of the Gulf nations. He was appearing and he noted that the disagreement over his dues was with a colleague, a Yemeni national, and it led to the two of them having a physical altercation, resulting in Steve's stabbing his colleague. He's known as Abdul Karim. He detailed the incident, which happened in 2011, and it was sparked by his colleague after he insulted him and sparking off a fit of rage from Stephen himself. He noted that his colleague was the one who started physically assaulting him by attacking him with a knife in an attempt to stab him. He then disclosed that it was an act of self-defense, and that he felt he was fatally stabbed, rather than he fatally stabbed his colleague. He said it was salary related. I was supposed to go and collect my salary, but he was not willing to let me go. I ended up getting angry. He used words that were not very good, and I could not understand them. He's the one who started the fight. The knife was his. And after he used it on me, I used it on him. We had a misunderstanding, which ended up in a fight, and it escalated until there were some stabbings, which were not intentional. Well, he was subsequently arrested, imprisoned, and put on death row over the next decade after the incident. He divulged that the two were both working with under the accounts department at the restaurant in Saudi Arabia at the time. He revealed that he had stab wounds on his hand and thigh from the fight, while the victim succumbed to a single stab wound to the chest. Still, he said, Halim's death was not directly caused by the stab wounds, but by delayed medical attention. The main cause of his death was not stabbing, but that he delayed going to hospital, and so he lost a lot of blood. He says it was a mistake. It occurred in the night of April 9th, 2011, exactly 16 years after Steve had first traveled to Saudi Arabia. He returned home to Kenya early Tuesday morning after a protracted legal battle in Saudi Arabia, where his initial manslaughter conviction was later upgraded to murder, resulting in a death sentence. His execution was stayed after the victim's family agreed to accept blood money, a financial compensation allowed under Islamic law. With support from the Kenyan government and the Muslim World League, 129 million shillings was raised to secure his release. He was freed on the 22nd of July 2025 after completing all processes and performing Umrah before he was deported to Kenya. That's the story that we look at this morning. And I remember last year we did have a conversation with Steve's mother, and she's here again with us, and Steve is here as well. Even as we get into this conversation, we want to say a very good morning to you both. Stephen, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yes?
Thank you.
You're good?
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Tashukuru.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
Mama, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes? When we last spoke, your smile was not as wide.
There was no room for a smile. No.
Today there is.
You can see it.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you both for being here this morning. And I know a little bit late, but we're glad that you both did. So we're just going to jump into things this morning. So Steve,
Yes.
we've given a little bit of your story just from different renditions, but there's often nothing better than hearing it directly from you. First of all, you're in Kenya.
Yes.
After being in Saudi Arabia for 16 years before this incident,
Yes.
and then 11 years in prison?
No, 14.
14 years
plus.
in prison.
14 plus.
14, also almost 15 years in prison.
Almost, yeah.
All right. Tell us, what happened?
Well, it so happened that I had a misunderstanding with a very good friend of mine, which escalated to a fight. Actually, that was my very first fight in my life. And I deeply regret that a life was lost through it, you know. So this friend of mine, we happened to have a misunderstanding. And as it is, as I said, we had a misunderstanding, and when things escalated, there was he attacked me actually, and I retaliated, and unfortunately he lost a lot of blood and passed on. Yeah.
In that moment, when this was happening,
Yeah.
did it occur to you that you could have walked away from the fight?
Not at that moment.
Why?
I was very, very angry, you know. And as I said, had I given it a thought, it would have not reached to that stage that it reached. Yeah.
So we talk about a situation where, based off the accounts that you've given so far, it was a salary-related matter.
Yes, it was a salary-related matter.
Yeah, by salary-related matter, what exactly do you mean? And how did it end up that your friend ended up stabbing you first?
Yeah, actually, it was overdue, and our boss had instructed that he should give me the salary, but he was reluctant, you know, and there was this sort of jealousy because it was like a bulk after several months. So why should he be like receiving a bulk, you know? So thereafter, he was like, give me time. And I was like, I'm supposed to be going to work the following morning. Actually, this thing happened late in the night. We used to close the restaurants past 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you know. So he said that I should come to him after closure so that he can calculate and see what goes to the bank and what can remain for me. But at the same time, we used to relieve each other. So on that account, he was like, I hold for him his job. Actually, that day there was a club match, you know,
two very big teams were playing, and he was supporting one, and I was supporting the other. But he needed me to replace him so that he could watch the match. But he was just playing me because he was taking advantage of my need. So that's how he went. By the time he came back, I was like, okay, now you're done. So can you release me, you know? So he was like, why are you in a hurry and all those things? So I was like sort of angry, and he used bad words actually that touched on my mother that didn't augur well with me. So I held him by the shirt, and that's how the fight broke up. So there was this fire extinguisher that he tried to hit me with, and I happened to squeeze the nozzle, and the room was just full of white powder, you know. So I was not seeing him, he was not seeing me. But the next thing, I just felt a stab on my thigh. And when I was still reacting, another stab on the hand, on my left hand. So that is how I managed to overpower him actually, got the knife, and I returned it, you know. So
You returned it. What does that mean?
I stabbed him also on the chest.
So you took the weapon.
Yeah, I took it from him and I used it on him.
Did you know what you were doing in that moment?
Not at all.
You didn't know what you were doing with the knife?
No, I am saying I took the knife and I was just returning what had been done on me, you know. But least did I know that it would end like that, you know. Actually, he did not die because of the stab wound. The doctor reports clearly states that he lost a lot of blood. That's how he died. Would he have gone to the hospital earlier, it would have not reached to that extent.
Did he delay in going to the hospital?
Yeah.
Why?
There are so many procedures there, you know. It's like you have to call an ambulance and all this. You cannot just evacuate somebody from a scene, like an accident scene or anything, before the authorities come in, you know. Should anything happen to that person, you'll be liable. You see, so people tend to be afraid to touch anybody that is in an accident victim or anything, you know, until the authorities come in.
Okay.
So I think those are some of the things that need to be addressed, you know, because we've seen situations whereby people have died on the scene that could have been saved, you know.
So during that time,
Yeah.
when he's lying there bleeding, what are you thinking about? What are you doing? Have you called the authorities? Who has called the authorities before this man is actually taken to hospital?
I did not see actually that he was bleeding because that time when my tempers were high and all, I had him crying out that I'm dying. So I moved out from him and actually I drove home, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back home.
Allow me to understand this.
Yeah.
He is crying in pain, and you heard him cry,
Yes,
but you went home.
yes.
Why did you go home?
As I'm saying, my anger that time, I was like, I have nothing to do with this guy, you know. Yeah, and I just found myself driving home, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, at that point, and for us to understand this,
Yes.
at that point, Steve, you realized that you could leave the scene. But prior to that, when he had angered you with the words that he spoke, you didn't feel that you could walk away from that position. But after the fact, you felt that you should leave because you couldn't be in that position anymore.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, the fight actually the way it broke up, it was just something that was sudden, you know. And the introduction of the weapon is actually what aggravated me more,
Okay.
you know. So what I can say, I was not like in my alert senses, you know. So that is what transpired actually. So even this going home, if you ask me, I don't know how I just went and reached home, you know. And actually I was like, let me rest before I go to the hospital in the morning for my wounds. And believe me, I slept. How, I don't know. But I slept, only to be woken up in the morning by a knock on the door. Yeah, so that's when the officers came.
What happened after that?
Well, the officers came and they knocked on the door. And as I said, I was sleeping. So I was like, what is this knock? So when I went, I was going actually to go and open the door, but it was as if I delayed a bit. So they broke the door, and I'm seeing people dressed in thobes. And there was an officer behind them and a colleague and a friend actually, who has become a brother actually to me, because Abdallah Juma has been there with me ever since, you know, to date. So I was like, they were like, it's him, it's not him, it's him, it's not him. And then one said, no, look at his hand, there's a blood stain. And then one of the officers caught my hand, and it started bleeding again. Actually, it jetted out blood. So they said there was need to get an ambulance. That time I was like confused what is going on. I asked Abdallah, what is going on? What is it? And then he says, Abdul Halim had passed on. You know, so I was like lost, because I never thought it would have reached to that extent. Anyway, they called the ambulance. The ambulance came, and they took me to hospital, a distance of like 7 minutes. And in that 7 minutes, they had put a drip on me. Actually, two pints. And in those 7 minutes, I had already finished 2 drips. So when I reached the doctors was told that I had already used 2 drips. And then he was like, are you sure? I said, yes. And then he said, you are very, very lucky to have reached here this time. You'd have also have gone.
So, you look at what has happened so far.
Yeah.
Officers have come, they've picked you up, you've gone to hospital, and you're lucky to be alive to start
Yes.
with. Now, here is your healing journey where you have to feel better. And then what follows after that?
Yes, what follows after that, after they had stitched me, I left the hospital, and just as I was leaving, there were 2 officials who were working for the Kenya embassy. So they came to me and said, Pole, you know, we've just been told what has happened. And the officers were like, does this person speak, you know? Because actually I was like in shock, you know. I did not talk to them any word from the time they arrested me up to that time. And then I said to them, yeah, I've just learned this morning that is what has happened. So the officers were like, he can speak. I said, yeah. So they said, please help us with translation, because from the time we arrested him, he has not talked to us. So that was Bamze. May his soul rest in peace, a very good friend also. And Lalet, also Let, you know. So the 2 translated for them for the initial interrogation, you know. So thereafter, they said, thank you very much for assisting us. And then I was now taken to the main investigator,
Okay.
who now finished up the job and said I should go to court, because there you have to thumbprint against the allegations and all. Thereafter, the judges, there were 3. They set a date for the hearing, and on the hearing day, actually I was alone. There was nobody else in the room. Neither the family of the victim, nobody, just me and the judges. So, and the translator, of course. So they said they were sentencing me to 5 years for manslaughter.
How long did this take from the time that they arrested you in your home the morning after until the time now when, you know, a trial took place, sentencing happened? What period of time are we looking at?
It was just within like 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was laughing because on the day we went to court the first time, we met an attorney that knew the officials from the embassy. And they were like, what happened to this one? He said, he has a case of manslaughter. And then he said, hey. He told me, let him put in his minds, you know, it will not take, 3 years and above before he can get any sentence. So already in my minds, I had already pre-programmed myself that it's going to take a long time before I'm even sentenced. But to my surprise, within 6 months, I had already gotten my sentence. You see.
Did you get an opportunity to tell the court your story?
Yes, you
that
do.
You are acting on self-defense? Was there, say, video evidence, footage to corroborate what it is you're saying?
There's no any video footage. Actually, by that time, where I was working, there was no CCTV. And there were no witnesses because it was just me and him, you know. So, but what the investigations wrote was enough for the judges to know that this thing was actually in self-defense. So that's how it ended up in manslaughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they said manslaughter and 5 years in prison?
Yes.
Okay. And did that start immediately?
Yeah, it starts actually, it starts from the very day you are arrested.
Okay.
The counting of the 5 years starts on the very first day that you are arrested.
All right.
Yeah.
So when this happened, you knew that it was 5 years and then you would be out.
Yes.
So let's fast forward 5 years. 5 years have come. Your mother, Dorothy, is here in Kenya. She's trying. By then, of course, you had gotten in touch with home and let them know what was going on.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward 5 years. What happens then?
Close to 5 years, they called me to court. And this time around, the widow was there with her brother. And they had a lawyer with them. Then the judge said that Stephen here was sentenced to 5 years, and he has now to pay blood money. And we took the papers to the Supreme Court, and they certified that it's okay to pay blood money. They even gave us a quotation of 120,000 reals. So they asked the widow if she's willing to take the 120,000 on compensation. She later turned and looked at the lawyer whether she should get, actually she wanted an approval from the lawyer. So the judges were like, and who is that? She said, this is my lawyer. And the judge said, lawyer, were you there on the crime scene? He said, no. Turned to the widow, were you there on the crime scene? Said, no. And then she said, whatever you have to discuss, you go and discuss it outside. Because none of you was there, so you cannot be coming to be discussing here. Actually, it's funny because initially lawyers were not even being allowed.
In the courtroom?
No.
Okay.
It's only recent, that least to mention that to be represented by a lawyer. It used not to be there, It's only in recent times that they've started using lawyers, So the lawyer goes out with the widow. They discuss. She comes back and she was like, I don't agree. So the judge said, then what do you want? That's when she said that she wanted that I should be executed. Now that comes to what they call the private rights. Yeah, where the family now has to say what they want, if they want compensation or if they want execution. So I'm sure that the lawyer told her to say she wants that so that the judge can say, okay, there's this blood money here. How much more do you want on top of that? How much do you want to top up? But the judge thought otherwise. So he said, okay, I'm going to give my sentence. And after my sentence, the widow, the brother, and the lawyer, you go. No, the lawyer was not in that time. I'm going to give my sentence. The widow and the brother should go out and leave me with Stephen. So he said, you have a right to your private rights, and you have young kids. She said, yes. He said, we cannot give a sentence as for now until your kids come of age. So they have to reach that age of 18.
Okay.
Yes.
Her children essentially needed to give an agreement in terms of then what would happen over the life of their father.
Yes.
Okay.
And thereafter, she said, okay, fine. She left the courtroom, and I was like saying to the judge, how is it that this one person will get like 3 sentences? 5 years, blood money, and now on top of that, execution, How does it jump from one to the other? So he was trying to make me understand that there's this thing called the public rights and the private rights. Anyway, I asked him, so how long do I have to stay, He said, he looked at the file and said, you have at least 7 years. And he told me that, actually, I did this on your favor. Why? It will give time for the widow to go back and reconsider whether to add something to top up whatever is there already, the quotation that is there already, or, the economies are so bad and living standards are very high. And so there'll be that need that maybe she'll want an upkeep and all. So she might opt to take the money, And if not, once the kids come of age, they can still object to the execution ruling. Yeah. Okay.
So all of this is happening. And again, your mum is here and she's fighting. And again, if we're going to jump a little bit forward, it was clear that at this point, if you were going to be let go, because now we're knocking on 12, 13 years that you've been in prison. And if you were going to be let go, this blood money was coming to about 100 million shillings. And your mother is here in Kenya. She's running from pillar to post, looking for help. She's gone to the ministry. She's gone to as far as the president to ask for help. But one must wonder, while all that was going on, Stephen, did you feel remorse for what happened Because let's hit it on the head. A man died. You killed a man. Did you feel remorse for what happened to him and take their... Because here you're fighting for your life, essentially, to be released from prison. Your mother is here fighting for you to come home. And let's do this. I mean, let's do this exchange. Money for your life. Blood money, essentially. Did it hit you that you had killed your friend?
Yeah, that, as I said, when I came back to my senses, that thing has haunted me for all those years that I've been there, you know. I never ever imagined that, not to mention Abdul Halim, that anybody would die via my hands, you know. So when you talk of remorse, that one has been there ever since, you know. And the Steve you see here was more of a peacemaker, you know. Even when the first time that they heard that Steve had fought, they were like, Steve fighting? It never had occurred that such would come from me, you know. So that thing to death still haunts me, that my friend passed on.
Steve, you see, when you talk about the family of Mujahids, you say that the eldest daughter, Susan, is someone you held in your arms. She was still a toddler when you started working there.
Yes.
And here's a question where even during the funeral, you never got an opportunity to say goodbye to your friend or even send condolences.
Yeah.
But here, with a situation where now the blood money has been paid, you are free. Ever got an opportunity to speak to them? Even send a message?
The only message that went to them was via the embassy. Our own, they never allowed us, because at one time, Mama and my brother Cyprian tried even to go to Saudi Arabia and just see the Mujahids, send their condolences, you know, and just say sorry. But they were never allowed, you know. They got the tickets, got the vaccines, and it was just a shut door. Why? I can never tell up to now. Personally, of course, when you are behind bars, they can never let you to go out, you know. And as calling-wise, you know, when you should call them, like this time now, I'm supposed to call the widow and send my condolences and all. But they can take it in another way, you know, which can even make matters worse, you know. So we tend to leave it and see such a time that all is done, and then you can at least now try to get to them.
Okay. So, Mum, we spoke with you last year, quite some. And at that time, when the blood money agreement had been made, you had a very short time. And I believe at the time we spoke, there was a window period of about 3 months to then be able to get this money in. And you fought tooth and nail. You went as far as you could to then be able to raise this money. At what point then did things turn? At what point did you think that this was not going to be possible?
Actually, thank you. For the longest, you know, it was really like a roller coaster, because one moment you think things are opening, and the next moment the door is like shut. And to be honest with you, it was only in March this year, and 26th March to be precise, when it became evident that Steve-O might finally come. I say might because March to July is still 4 months. And those were months of uncertainty. Remember that from July, when we were given the 3 months in May, actually it was 2 first, in May, after they postponed the first execution on May 15th, then we were given until July 20-something to raise the money. But in no time, the 2 months were over. So we were given until November. That's another 4 months. Yes. But between July and November, I was advised through the embassy that this is not going to be free, you know. You've got to pay something to keep the widow going, because you ought to have paid the blood money by now. And so you had no option but to agree. Now we were moved to November 26th. And our ambassador, His Excellency Mohammed Ramadan Ruwangi, was part. He and a team of 5 others were part of a reconciliatory committee on his side. There were also others on the widow's side. They were part of the reconciliatory committee, and they met. And now, being November, and we had been told tersely that if this money is not forthcoming, Steve is going to be executed.
Okay.
So the ambassador reached out the document and told me, this is what we agreed. They need, I forget the reals, but the translation was like 2.6 million Kenya shillings to keep the widow going between now and next November, because they wanted a 6-month extension. But 6 months had gone so fast, between May and November, that the ambassador thought it is useless to ask for another 6 months. So he fought for a year. He said, please give us 1 year. And they gave it, and the fee attached to it was 2.6 million, which was not to be counted against the blood money of 150 million. So, but in his wisdom, instead of giving them in a lump sum, he divided it. He chopped it in, call it bite size. It was like 4,000 Saudi Arabia reals per month, which is between 38K and 40K per month. So from November up to last month, I was remitting that. But the last 2 were pretty troublesome for me, because by that time, it was clear that he's leaving, and they had actually gone to court and agreed that she's going to be paid her blood money. And initially she refused, because she said, and he can testify to that. Me, I was not in court. Can you tell them what she said?
Yeah. We were actually on video. And she said that the judge said the check is ready and that she's supposed to collect it. And she said that she cannot collect it at the moment because her IDs have expired. So the judge said the IDs having been expired, they have nothing to do with you collecting the check. But now she says, but where do you want me to put this money in the house. And even if I don't put it in the house, I cannot deposit it and I cannot withdraw. You see? So how am I supposed to collect it when I cannot even use it? Yeah.
So Kenyans rallied round, Steve.
So the judge put down his foot, and 2 days later, she collected the check. So what I was going to say is that I was outraged when, after she took the check, I was still being asked to pay the 140. But that was okay because it was very close to the end. But the most painful one was having to pay in July, because that was now 2 months after she took the check, you know. And I actually cried to the ambassador and said, look, you know, what can you do? You know, just save me from this lady. He said, look, pay, because it might make a difference between Steve being released in 2 weeks rather than 2 months. And then at that point, for some reason, maybe it was God ordained, Maura Waihiga, he's with the BBC, and he has also been on this case, sent me a case from Yemen of an Indian woman who was facing execution even after paying blood money. And that alarmed me.
Sure.
It shocked me into actually going back to the bank. And on that day, I didn't mourn, you know, because whenever I went to pay, I told my teller, they're still on my case, they're still on my case. That day, I never spoke because I was petrified at the possibility that from the blue, they might just
Reverse.
reverse.
So, Mom, here's a situation where your son is home.
Am I?
Your son is home, has been released. And what hangs in the air is fact that someone died in his hands. It is not easy for him. It is not easy for the family, and not easy for you as the
It's
mom.
not.
What are the conversations you're having such that such does not happen again?
For me personally, I have, from the word go, wanted to appease myself by going to the widow. I think I said as much when
Yes,
I
you
was
did.
first here.
Yeah.
It has been my desire, my burning desire, to go and express my deep pain at Nadia. That is her name. Abdul Rahab Mahmoud. And in recent years, because I asked for that up to the very end, really, I was told the widow is not ready to see you. So I can understand the pain, you know. Me, I had the pain of anticipation that my child might be killed. But here is a case of one where the husband actually died. And I know no amount of money can return the dead. And to tell you the truth, and I'm not saying so because the shoe is on another foot. Personally, I wouldn't consider money. No amount of money can replace life. That's why I was thinking or obsessed with the forgiveness route. I know that no amount of millions will ever bring back my son's friend. They were friends. He told me as much. Yeah. So there's that. He has spoken himself that he has been haunted by that. Yeah. This is a friend. They used to sit together and eat together, you know. So, as he says, what happened was on the spur of the moment. Yeah. And as he says, I don't know what the fellow said, the late said, but it touched on me. You people are Africans. What touched on me it's a matter of speculation, you know. Perhaps it's unmentionable, you know. And I know that men, especially, very few men, even the weakest of men, will not take it when their mothers, whatever, is touched. Let me put it that way. So I'm not forgiving him, please mark me. But on the spur of the moment, that is how he was provoked.
So Kenyans rallied round, Steve.
Yeah.
Kenyans gave money. Kenyans, you know, threw their support behind your mom when all of this was happening. And I would imagine, and just that from my thinking, that this is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. What would you have to say? Now you're home, people prayed, people, you know, said all kinds of things in both directions, mind you. And it's painful to hear, but people said, you know what? You did this, so you should pay for it. Others said, well, here's an opportunity for you to then be redeemed. What do you have to say to them who listen today?
That journey was a very long one, and all the efforts that were put in, all the prayers that were put in can never be taken for granted, you know. And it pains me that I had to subject my family and Kenyans at large to this, that they have to pop up to get me back home, you know. But at the same time, I felt the love, you know, of this Kenyan, because the way people came out in numbers was just overwhelming. And I cannot thank them enough, because the words would not just be enough to express my thanks. But I shall just ask them to accept my humble thanks, and may the Lord shower on them so much blessings, and those pockets, may they be replenished.
So what happens next, now that you're home?
That's a nice one. It's been a long time I've been away, and first of all, I need to catch up with the family before I can start thinking of what next, you know.
All right. Mom, are your tears over?
I know he's not well. Yesterday, I went to his room because I knocked, he didn't open. And when I went in, the way he started, it frightened me. It's like, as he says, he's haunted. Yeah? He's still in that. I think my child, my son, needs counseling, he needs physiotherapy, you know, to just cope with what happened. I've said it before that if there's any child from my womb that would not have hurt a fly, it is this one. So it is this one. He was ever so loving to his siblings. He took the firstborn role so seriously that all the siblings looked up to him. And when I asked him over the phone when he was still in jail, what exactly happened? His answer was, Ma'am, that was my first and last fight.
Stephen Munyakho Abdul Karim, thank you for being here this morning. Mom,
It's a pleasure.
Dorothy, Thank you. Kenyans, thank you for all the work that you did. And it's a complicated one, but then for us to be able to have this conversation as you go into the next phases, we wish you grace. Thank you so much for joining us on the Situation Room this morning. For both of you, we'll catch up again soon.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Asante.
Sana.
It's 6 minutes past 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.